Good morning, everyone. It's Tess, and today's going to be tip 205. And I figured I better get on quick before the day gets away from me again. And I'm kind of continuing based on what I was talking about yesterday, just because I'm going to keep doing a little bit further research into it. I know I mentioned before the biggest thing that I overcame this past year working with Doc V is like stress and anxiety and using meditation and using like I am affirmations to kind of clear my head. And I mentioned yesterday I saw an article where they were talking about 8 things that you can overcome using like relaxation and meditation and techniques to kind of overcome stress and depression. And it kind of connected to me to some issues that I was dealing with pre-surgical. And kind of what the article yesterday, just a brief overview, is the article yesterday talked about that some of the underlying factors behind anxiety and stress can sometimes be low B12 issues, thyroid issues, gut issues, iron deficiency issues, vitamin D issues, unstable blood sugar, over excess alcohol, and then it can be hereditary. Well, the reason that was so interesting to me is that a lot of those symptoms I had pre-surgical, and I know I felt like I was in a dark place. And my friend has always talked a lot about gut health, so I was looking a little bit into that today. And again, this is going to be an ongoing thing. Before I get into this too much, this weekend I think I'm going to, on my page, I'll kind of test this MEEP thing. This is something John Jones from the Dr. V tribe has. So I don't eat my first meal till later. Hi, Thomas. How are you? I don't eat my first meal till later in the day, but I've been using this, and kind of what I do is I make sure it counts for like 30 seconds, and then I'll do a 30-second break between bites of food. So I'll kind of show it to you like this weekend, only because I don't eat until later in the day. Part of what I've been doing with Doc V is I narrow the window of time that I eat. But kind of back to today's topic, yesterday I was really surprised when I was finding out that anxiety and stress can be caused by items that we can be addressing differently than historically the anxiety medications that everybody had been using. And like I mentioned yesterday, that's the B12, the thyroid, the gut health, the iron deficiencies, the vitamin D, low levels, blood sugar being unstable, alcohol excess, and hereditary. So today I kind of looked a little bit about gut health. And what I found about gut health is they say that 35 to 70% of all people deal with gut health issues. And at some point, women more often than men, and these, such as infections of cancer, can result in pain, bloating, and other discomfort. So what they're saying is that, and my one friend that's a nutritionist has talked a lot about gut health and how stress can trigger and worsen the pains that we have associated with gut health. And I thought, wow, now understanding all these things, foods impact our gut health, our stress impacts our gut health, low vitamin levels impact our gut health. There's so much connected around it that I want to try to understand more about it. Now, again, I'm not medical. I'm just a bariatric patient trying to stay engaged in the journey and trying to continue my learning process. And trying to like ask questions out loud to myself and then pursue trying to find answers. But the idea of stress worsening gut health made me realize that probably one of the greatest gifts I gave myself was when I started putting meditation, daily meditation into place, putting I am affirmations together. I know I've talked before about how I have a journal, it's in the other room, but I write positive statements like pre-paving to tell myself how I want to think each day to overcome the little blocks that sometimes come into my mind. And it says, like when dealing with stress and anxiety, that as well as medications, because there will always be a time that people need medications, there should be a little bit more work going into like psychological therapies in combination with these medical treatments so that you can maybe find tools for coping to help you get through it better. Because they were kind of talking about the connection between the brain and the gut that goes 2 ways. It's like a second brain. And we want to make sure that we keep that axis clean and that we control the issues that might put stress on that system. And things that they were talking about as alternative theories are like cognitive behavioral therapy and relaxation therapy, hypnosis. We know meditations, the quiet times. They say that because when we get stressed, we have that fight or flight response, our digestion slows down, and the body can divert all of its internal energy to the perceived threat, and it kind of throws that system out of whack. And that if we are persistently in that state and we don't know how to manage it, then we're causing additional stress on that system, which will cause us problems down the road. So what I wanted to do is just kind of identify that this is an issue. They're working on additional studies about anxiety and stress, and that's kind of one of the big things Doc V has always talked about, and they talk about a lot in Law of Attraction, is that what we think is where our body goes. So if we're continually thinking in a place of not feeling good and in a place of stress, we tend to end up causing additional burden on our body. Hi, Lori, good to see you. So what I'm grateful for in this past year is that I've done a lot of work on every morning when I get up. I start the day with a card where I say, I want to have a good day. I want to appreciate everyone. I want to be successful. I want to end this day feeling good. And I kind of try to put into my mind the thoughts that I want to carry through the day so that I don't let myself fall into that negative thought pattern. And it's helped me hugely this year. I do meditations. I'll listen to positive meditations, or I listen to, the stuff that Doc V gives us. But I try to keep continually pushing my mind to think in a place that if our brain truly goes to what we think about, I've been working very hard this past year to give it the thoughts that I want to materialize, because I realized that previously I was giving my mind the thoughts that I did not want to materialize. I spent too much, almost like we talk about when we're trying to get ahead in life, I spent too much time problem solving and analyzing every possible thing I thought could go wrong in the body instead of trying to move forward. And I think I caused myself additional stress and pressure on my body by thinking too much about what I thought could be going wrong instead of taking the steps to move forward. So I'm finding, like in all areas of our life, yes, there will be times that you're going to need medical intervention, but every single time that there's a medical intervention, I'm going to start looking at what are holistic ways that I can be more of a assistance to my medical team and to my body to make myself as healthy as I can be. These connections, and it makes sense. If your body is always in a flight and fright place, then your body's going to be focusing energy on trying to control that adrenaline, and then the rest of your body is not going to be able to function where it needs to be. So it does go a lot back to, I guess, and I'm not a medical person, but back to that mental health of trying to keep your mind in a place where you're seeking something positive going forward, instead of, I'll even go back to, like Doc V says, fire, aim, fire, aim. Instead of wallowing in stuff for too long, just keep moving forward. So again, this kind of is just an offshoot of yesterday, and I'm just learning the beginnings of this, and I'm going to talk to my friend about it, but she lives in Canada, and I haven't been able to see her in the past year. But this idea that I can be causing gut problems to my intestinal tract by my thoughts. And when you think about it, because they were even explaining that when you feel butterflies, or you get we've all kind of identified what we think are intuitive feelings in our stomach. We get butterflies, we get all these different things. They were actually saying that those are your body, your chemical reaction in your body changing. We have just always attributed feeling nauseous and butterflies to the stress outside, not realizing that it's probably truly a change happening between the instructions our brain's sending down to our gut, and that we're actually having a physical reaction, but we've all kind of labeled it butterflies and nausea, not realizing that if we can adjust our thoughts, we might be able to kind of smooth that out. And on top of that, we all know food does impact how our gut feels. I know that if I'm eating sugary type things, I get that heavy, thick, lethargic, can't focus feeling. I know if I'm eating, the perfect foods, if I'm eating the salad, I truly feel my best when I am following what Doc V does not advertise, because he said we're either going to decide to do it or we're not going to do it. He has a diet out there, but he doesn't push it because he's like, why push it if you're not going to do it? But he does recommend 4 liters of water a day. He recommends a big, huge salad. He recommends a smoothie, no sugar added. And then whatever meal that you choose in the evening. And he's like, I don't even care about that meal, because if you're doing the other things right, you're going to be okay. And I'm going to say, without a doubt, my work days are better when I kind of follow that plan. And I always look to add different kinds of fruits and vegetables to my smoothie to make it rainbow colored, because that's where our vitamins and nutrients come from. The color will signify that it's got something different in it. And it does feel better when you're fueling your body in a healthier way. I can tell a huge difference. If I'm not getting the water in, I feel it. And I've even learned things along the way. Like, I used to think that, hey, if I go drive through this place and get a green smoothie, I'll be okay. Well, I learned that you got to be careful, because when I started to research a little bit of that, they never tell you that there's a lot of sugar added. But in some of those cases, I was seeing like 35 to 60 grams of added sugar. You've got to actually physically say no sugar added, or they're automatically doing it. And I don't think anybody's trying to do it to hurt us, but as a normal statement, most people want that in there. So we've got to be the advocate to kind of identify where hidden things might be that we're not seeing. So I know everyone's got things to do, and me too. And you're right, John, every day is a learning process, because I'm going to dig into this even more, just even in identifying, like I mentioned yesterday, I was anemic for a period of years, and we had to be really specific about the vitamins, because in order to turn the iron into red blood cells, you had to have certain vitamins. And because I had so much deficiency, we were forever monitoring those so that we could pump them up, because if I was going to get a bag of saline with iron in it, we wanted to make sure I had what my body would need to turn that into a red blood cell, because what's the point of doing it if you're not going to gain the benefit of going through the treatment? So our body is amazing. And I truly believe, kind of like what I said yesterday, my doctors, my medical team has been great. I know people don't all have great medical teams, but they spent a lot of time with me and tried to guide me. And then an insurance company paid the money for me to have this surgery. So the very least I can do is try to educate myself and to make this as successful as I possibly can. We all know this is the second time I've lost over 100 pounds. I don't want to do it again. And if each day I seek to learn something more than I knew the day before, then maybe I can keep that momentum going, so that 10 years from now, I'm looking back and saying, wow, I had done good at that point, but look how much further I've come. And that's my dream for all of us to look back in 10 years and find out what amazing things we've achieved, because we took a little step every day, which built momentum and changed our lives forever. Have a beautiful day, and I appreciate you all so very much. Thank you.